What's up, everybody? Today you're gonna hear my picks for my Bracket Buster Challenge. I have done notoriously awful in the 3 years that I've done this. So here's to maybe turning that around and getting some good mojo happening in this challenge. We're gonna walk through each of my picks, gonna give a little bit of game analysis here and there. And I'm gonna let you know who I think is gonna make it to Final Four, to championship day, and ultimately win the Natty. This is the Thursday before any of the games actually start, so there is so much lacrosse to be played, and anything can happen, which is the beautiful part of sports. So let's dive right in and see where my picks line up with your picks. Reminder, picks for the Bracket Buster Challenge to win these are due tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow at noon, so that none of the games are played and that everyone has the same chance. Let's go. All right, guys, so while we're gonna be going through my Bracket Buster, I'm also gonna continue making and meal prepping some of my chicken fajitas. This is something that I've actually posted on Instagram before, Instagram, YouTube, or Instagram. So if you are interested in learning how to make these, go find that video. This is something I make probably once a week. I'll bring this for food to lunch. I'll eat this for dinner after long days of coaching. It's a great meal. So while I cook, we're gonna talk bracket. So Maryland's first round game will be between Stony Brook or JMU. So that is a tough second round game, whoopsie, for Maryland, regardless of who they play. There's a ton of experience. JMU, obviously, defending national champions. They're coming off of an incredible season last year and have picked things up throughout this year as well. Stony Brook is coming off their 7th America East Championship, so both of them are going to be ready to play. These teams are very similar in the fact that they both play zone. They both have a ton of tournament experience. Both of them went really far in last year's tournament, so I think it's gonna be really interesting to see who comes out on top. I think Stony Brook will be the winner of that first round matchup. It'll be a close one. I think Stony Brook just has a lot of fire that's come straight from their head coach and Joe Spallina. They have a ton of confidence, and I think that's gonna help them kind of get through that first round matchup. I think, however, they're gonna run into a very unhappy, motivated Terps team. They're coming off of a loss to Northwestern in the Big Ten final. I think that loss, if I know anything about the Terps, having been there before, having lost in a conference championship before with this team, I think they're gonna learn from it, watch film, move on, and let it kind of fuel their fire. I think they're gonna be a tough team to compete with throughout the tournament because they're a little bit angry. So I think whatever team makes it out of that bracket, Stony Brook is who I'm predicting. I think they're gonna run into a really tough Maryland team, and Maryland will come out on top of that matchup. Moving down the line, USC Denver. Those are two West Coast teams, which I think it just says an incredible thing about how much this game has grown. They're gonna be looking to kind of make their turn over to the East Coast. I think USC will come out on top. They dominated the Pac-12, have done really well this year. I think they'll be very, very excited to compete, and we'll be making it to that second round game versus who I think will be Michigan. So Jacksonville and Mercer are going to be playing that play-in game before playing Michigan. I think Jacksonville is gonna come out on top in that one, they just have a ton of experience in the tournament itself, and they're gonna run into a buzzsaw of Michigan. Michigan has never made the NCAA tournament, and now they've made it, they're seeded, and they're hosting. So I think they're gonna be incredibly excited to play, really fired up, and I think it'll be a USC-Michigan matchup in that second round. From there, I think USC is gonna make it out of that into quarterfinals, so it'll be a Maryland-USC battle for the region in College Park, making the West Coast team come east. That's never happened before. Maryland has never played USC before. And I think it'll be Maryland who comes out on top. At the end of the day, a lot of experience on that team, a lot of Final Four national championship experience on that team, and they're gonna be hungry and ready to go. So my prediction of who comes out of that first kind of pool, that first quadrant, Maryland. But I mean, it's me, so. All right, moving on to that same side of the bracket, different quadrant. This is probably, in my opinion, the toughest bracket of the bunch. The 5-4 seeds are in it, as well as a couple of incredible non-seeded teams. First game, Penn against Georgetown. So Georgetown shocking Denver in the Big East Finals, coming out on top with a victory. I think this was a 1-goal game during the season. I think it's gonna be a really tightly matched contest this season, I mean, in this kind of second season as well. I think Penn will come out on top of that though. They gave Princeton a good run. They're peaking at the right time. I think they're just gonna be difficult to handle, especially because they also have a ton of tournament experience. Down in that first round, Notre Dame, Stanford. So again, another tough first round pick for our tough first round draw for both teams. I think Notre Dame is gonna come out hungry after that loss to Duke in the ACC quarterfinals. I think they've had a ton of time to prepare, a ton of time to rest and get ready. I think this is a team that has been successful against Stanford in the past and will be successful against Stanford in next weekend as well. Penn will play the winner, or Penn will play Cuse. So Cuse, again, another team that is hungry after almost beating BC in the NCAA semifinals. I think they're gonna they're gonna be a buzzsaw to be reckoned with this tournament. This is the best I've seen Syracuse look in a couple years. I think they're firing all cylinders, ready to go. I think Cuse comes out of that Cuse-Penn matchup on top. Northwestern, Notre Dame, that is gonna be a battle. I just saw Notre Dame play, Northwestern play in person the other day. They are fast, they are skilled, they are athletic. It's gonna be, Selena Lesotho was unstoppable. I think it's gonna be a tough, tight matchup between the two teams, between Notre Dame, Northwestern. They played once this year. Northwestern came out on top. I think Notre Dame's gonna give them a good run. But just seeing the way Northwestern has peaked at the right moments, I think it'll be a Cuse Northwestern battle in that quarterfinal. That'll be the game to watch if that one happens. Cuse Northwestern, I'm gonna go with Cuse. I think they just have what it takes this year. They have the athletes, they have the goaltending, they have all the little pieces together. I think Cuse will be the one out of that quadrant that makes the Final Four. Who knows? Moving into the other side of the bracket, the third part, this is where UNC number 3, UVA number 6 reside. UNC has a tough first round matchup, regardless of who they play. Florida, Johns Hopkins will be the ones competing to play against UNC in Chapel Hill. I think Florida, given their athleticism, given their drive and their coaching staff, will be the one that comes out on top. I don't know if anyone would have suspected a UNC Florida matchup in the second round of the tournament. UNC, I think they've got what it takes this year. They have really impressed me throughout. I think they're gonna come out on top of that matchup. Navy High Point is the other team. Woo! Other team in that bracket. Navy, again, is a team super talented, super aggressive and athletic. I think they're gonna beat High Point pretty easily, and it'll be a Navy-UVA matchup. And this is where I'm calling my first upset. I think Navy will beat UVA. I think they just have the athletes. I think they're super intense. Tournament time is their time. And they've proved in year out the last couple years that this is where they like to play. This is what they like to do. NCAAs is their time. It'll be a UNC Navy matchup in that quarterfinal. And I just think UNC is not gonna lose to Navy again. They've lost them once before in quarters. I think UNC will come out on top in that matchup pretty handedly. And it'll be UNC taking that first slot in the Final Four for that side of the bracket. And last but not least, we have that fourth side of the bracket. Sorry for the location change. I'm having some work done on my house and the kitchen was just about to get bombarded. 7 seed Princeton. So this is where 7 seed Princeton, number 2 seed BC reside. Princeton is gonna take the winner of Fairfield and Wagner. So I think Wagner is gonna come out on top of that matchup. They have great momentum going into this game, just coming off another win, plus super loyal to Toomey, the head coach of that team. I think it'll be a Princeton-Wagner matchup with Princeton coming out on top in that side of the bracket. They just have a lot of weapons. Kyla Sears is unreal. And I think they're just going to be a little too much to handle for this Wagner team. Other side, Loyola, Richmond. So Loyola is cruising into this part of the season. I don't foresee them losing this early on. I think Loyola is going to come out on top of that first round matchup to play Princeton in the second round. This is where my second upset comes. Upset alert. I think Loyola is going to beat Princeton. They're cruising right now. They have a great team. They have athletes. They have skilled players. I think they're going to really give Princeton a run for their money. And I think Loyola is going to come out on top in a very, very close game. Other side of the bracket, BC awaits the winner of Dartmouth, Colorado. Colorado is a team that kind of squeezed right on in. Dartmouth is a team that has been stellar under their new head coach, Danielle Spencer. I think Danielle Spencer's leadership, her tournament time experience, I think they're going to help propel, that's going to help propel Dartmouth into the second round where they're going to face a buzzsaw of BC. Similar to Maryland, who lost in their conference championship, BC lost as well. I think they're going to be angry. I think they're going to be ready to play, excited to play, and I think BC will come out on top. So it'll be a Loyola BC matchup at BC in that quarterfinal with BC coming out on top. So my final four is Maryland Cuse and then UNC BC, with Maryland and BC coming out on top to do a rematch of last year's Final Four match, and Maryland, obviously, as the national champions. So that's my pick. Those are my kind of brackets as of now. But the beautiful thing is anything can happen, and anything and everything will change. So make sure you guys comment below with your brackets. You have until noon tomorrow to send them in and to be qualified to win those awesome pair of cleats and that shirt. Bracket buster time, tourney time, best time.